Deck the hall with boughs of holly, la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, la 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 la. On we now our gay apparel, la 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 la. Throw the ancient Yuletide carol, la 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 la. In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long and long ago. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. While shepherds keep their watching o'er silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the world, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy.
Welcome to Unitarian Universalist Church. It's Christmas Eve. It's nice to be here. I hope you're snuggled at home and safe and maybe eggnog or something good and feeling good. It's nighttime. We don't have services at night very often. I'm going to light our chalice words from Kenneth Patton, who was one of the first Universalist preachers to take the tradition out of Christianity and make it global in the way that he conceived of it. That's what he's famous for. It's called The Turning of the Year. He says, now is the mood for old mythologies, for tales of gods and heroes, for virgin mothers and shining babes, jeweled gifts for a king's son, and the nostalgic promises of miracles and forever. Now is the pause in the year, when time is stopped and reality isn't quite so real. Let us make delight of songs and our feast of poems and our celebration of telling old tales. That is this time of year and this moment more than any other. Welcome to Christmas Eve. On this dark night, on this fine space, we invite the child in that symbolizes the coming of light in the most unlikely circumstances, right? We invite also the child in all of us. This building on this night welcomes families from all over the world in a unique way. On this night, the opportunity for magic hangs a little heavier. It's the night Scrooge starts with his face wet with tears and regret, worry from the conflicts of the spirits that haunt him, and ends up entranced with the most ordinary experiences of the season. Christmas has a little power. It does. Christmas is first and foremost, I think, felt, and we're going to talk about that. Howard Thurman says that Christmas returns to us as it always does, with a challenge of the perfect. And tonight, it asks us to see what we're going to do with that opportunity. So welcome. And now, more music. Please join in the hymn at home.
It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth to all goodwill, from heaven the news we bring. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world. Above its sad and lowly plains, they bend on hovering wing. and every o'er its marble sounds the blessed angels sing.
Good evening. This is Christmas Eve, and this is also the time of the solstice. There are many, many holy days or holidays during this time. The solstice is when the days don't last as long and the nights last longer. And ancient people were afraid that maybe it would just get darker and darker. So we had these many holidays or holy days. Some of them are very old, like Yule, that was celebrated by the Norsemen and the Celts. And they burned a log. And as long as the log burned, they had a party. Or Hanukkah, which was even older, a Jewish holiday. There are some new holidays at this time, like Kwanzaa, an African-American holiday. But what we're looking at tonight is Christmas. And we're looking specifically at Christmas Eve. So what is Christmas Eve? Well, Eve means evening, the night before Christmas. And Christmas, it's really made up of two words, Christ and Mass. Christ means, it's a Hebrew word, a Jewish word. It means Savior, Messiah, leader, teacher even. And Christmas is about a specific teacher, about a specific Savior or Messiah. At least that's how he's seen by some people. Mass, that's a time, a dinner, a meal. It's time when bread and wine were broken in remembrance of this great leader. The bread is the common food that people ate, that everybody ate, and they drank wine because the water wasn't very good for them. And they didn't know, but they knew that the wine killed off the bad part. So we come together for Christ Mass, Christ meal, dinner in remembrance. And this is Christmas Eve, the night before it. Now, who was this guy, this Messiah, this Savior, that some people believe came to lead? He was, we call him Jesus. Now, we don't know much really about him when he was little, but we have some stories. We know quite a bit about him once he got to be older. So he was a real person, and he was a teacher, and he was a Jewish teacher. And he came up with some interesting ideas that were very different than the ideas that people had had at the time. It was very common, and still is, for Jewish people to get together and talk about their holy books and about religion, and debate and argue and come up with new ideas and interpretations. And that's what Jesus did. And one of the things he came up with was an idea that was pretty radical at the time, because most people thought that God, the creator of everything, that God was kind of a mean guy, and that he punished people unless you did exactly what he said. And sometimes he was kind of a bully. Well, Jesus said, that's not true. Our Creator is like a father, somebody that loves you and forgives you and wants you to do better. So that doesn't sound like a very strange idea, but at the time it was. It was a kind of a brand new idea. Now, I was thinking about this evening when this baby, Jesus, was born. His mother, who was very young, and his father had come to a town that they were supposed to go to. We're really not exactly sure why, We have some stories, but we're not really exactly sure why they had to be there. But the town was full, and there was no room at the inn, the hotel. One innkeeper said, well, you can stay where I keep the animals. It's clean. And they went down there, and that's where Mary, the very young girl, had her baby. And they laid him in a manger. And that's kind of like a cradle, except they put straw in it for the animals to eat. And then there were some visitors. The first that came because they said angels had come to them and told them to come and see this new baby. So they came. They were poor and they were Jewish, and they came to see this new baby. They were very excited about it. And then came some very rich people, some wise men or magi. Magi means magician. They weren't magicians like we think of. They were astronomers or astrologers. And they said that the stars had told them that this new baby would be very important. And they brought him some gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. No toys, I'm afraid. And the gold was valuable. The frankincense and myrrh was also valuable. It's kind of perfume. It doesn't seem like very good gifts for a baby, but they were very expensive. So there were also some others there to visit, probably cows, sheep, maybe some chickens, who knows? We're not sure. All right. And there was the baby. Now, something that strikes me as very funny and sad at the same time is that Jesus started a thing that we call Christianity today. And there are many people in the United States who are Christians. But if Jesus showed up today, you see, he came from the Middle East. He didn't speak English because there wasn't an English language. It was 2,000 years ago. So he didn't speak English, and he had kind of a dark complexion like many people in the Middle East do. If he showed up today, a lot of people would say, go back to where you came from. They would say, maybe you're a terrorist. And that's the guy that gave us this religion of forgiveness and love. So you can't always judge by the outside. There may be great love inside, and maybe we need to listen for that and look for that. I have here some funnies from the LA Times last Sunday, and I see a whole lot of references to Christmas and Christmas Eve. One thing I've seen a lot of is cartoons that show cats climbing Christmas trees and knocking them over. Must be a big thing this year. I also see, let's see, here is Marmaduke, the big dog, and his dog house is all decorated, and his owners are afraid that he's going to overshadow them with his decorations. And I see the family circus, and the children are all asking questions. And I think there are some very interesting questions. Let's see. I'll just make a lot of noise with this newspaper now. Okay. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Why didn't they bring any toys? Okay. And how high do you have to have your IQ to be a wise man? And what was the name of the donkey Mary was riding? And how come the shepherds had to work on Christmas Eve? And Joseph should have phoned ahead and made reservations, right? And this is a neat story. Who wrote it? And when did the little drummer boy show up? You might also ask when Frosty showed up. Okay, that's another good one. And I hope baby Jesus got to sleep before Santa Claus got there. And did TV cover the story live? And did we ever wear swaddling clothes? That's what they wrapped the baby in. And yes, a lot of modern babies get wrapped very tightly. It makes them feel safe. And betcha Jesus missed out on a ton of presents because his birthday was the same day as Christmas. Okay, I hope you all have a very lovely Christmas, even though sometimes you have to wear a mask.
Thank you, Dee.
Thank
Dee's
you.
going to join me in our prayer. Comes from Christine Robinson. We're going to do it jointly. Christine Robinson says, let us join our hearts and minds together in the spirit of meditation and prayer, and I encourage you to do that at home. May these moments of quiet lead us to the heart of the season, which is peace. May we breathe deeply in peace of the quiet place and the quiet place at home, relax into the warmth of this night, know we're safe here, and let us open our hearts to the evening story.
Like the wandering couple,
May we find our greatest trials issue forth from the greatest joys.
like the hurried and harried innkeeper,
May we find ways to be of help to others.
like the lumbering beasts,
May we be silent witnesses to the unfathomable glory of life.
like the shepherds on the hill,
May we know that we need never be afraid.
like the journeying wise men,
May we always have the courage to follow our own stars.
like the angels,
May we cry peace to a troubled world. To these prayers for our own transformation, we add our own thoughts for all those who suffer and grieve this evening. Seriously, may they find comfort. And we add our prayers for all those involved in war. May they be safe. And may this season in peace and goodwill nudge the world just a little towards its highest ideals. For then, Christmas will truly be Christmas. Amen. Thank you, Dee. Beautiful. Seriously. I never like to praise Bob Monzingo, but I have to. That was pretty good. I'm going to I wrote a little funny piece to the night before Christmas just to add a little levity to this sweet night. So I want everyone in the room here with me and at home to just kind of get the pace of the poem. So you ready? Here's how it goes. 'Twas the night before Christmas, everyone, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring. Not right. There you go. Good. Here's my version. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and at Pacific Unitarian Church, parishioners were engaged in their spiritual search. Adults were exploring solstice, Christmas, Hanukkah, and Yule. Up on the hill, it wasn't only the air that was cool. We wanted this season to be a time to connect to the planet, a more meaningful act than buying stuff for Aunt Janet. Better to honor the sun than to search for a tree just to cut it, and then to deck it all out like some seasonal strumpet. When on to Hendrickson Hall, there came such a sound that checking it out, I felt compelled, so I bound over to the door and slowly opened the latch. And I thought to myself, where's the neighborhood watch? For some people who, wrong side. Because standing before me during this year's darkest night was a red-suited man with assistance challenged by height. The decked-out red man was so quite poorly behaved, treating his reindeer and elves like they were enslaved. I'd seen this guy just today in an ad for car loans, then on a billboard for burgers at the mall, pitching phones. I thought this disco red man a sad image for stores. Gauche sensibilities just seemed to ooze from his pores. Walking in, he toted a large plastic bag, full to the brim with plastic swag. Where's your tree? Santa asked, face growing long. I said, they're living out on the patio, just where they belong. Then Santa asked, where should I put all the presents I've bought? I looked at him sternly and said, you can take the whole lot. To more frivolous people who think that they need to succumb to this season's commitment to greed. Find some people, I said, who live for the act of consuming, those who are watching their value of retail stocks booming. He smiled with a ho, 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 surely you're kidding. I gave him a stare, clearly stern and forbidding. People need gifts, Steve, Santa said. Are you opposed to fun? That you'll kill the holidays before they've even begun? And he looked in my eyes for some kind of consent, but I strengthened my will. I refused to relent. We have plenty of fun, cutting right to the gist. Here at church, it's not presents that's missed. Here we focus on issues of real people's lives. We could use some non-perishable cans for our Harbor Interfaith food drive. Here at PUC, we teach people to recycle, reuse, and reuse. Here, acting charitably is the path that we choose. We need none of this fluff, I announced in a huff. None of your business as usual holiday stuff. We sow into our holidays more virtue than this. Your goods from those sweatshops, they will not be missed. Santa's expression looked so bereaved. As he shouldered his bag and got ready to leave, Santa said, I pity all you people who must be stuck here with you. It seems you're not even permitted to be of good cheer. Oh, no, you don't, Santa, I said. First and foremost, we know what's important to him, I did boast. The truth is, Kris Kringle, our church members are not all here. Right now, we've got numbers liberating your reindeer. Santa dashed out the door wagging at me his finger because although mad as a hatter, he had no time to linger. I stood at the door just to watch him react to PUC's Holiday Animal Liberation Act. Santa was upset. He looked angry, dismayed. He rehitched the few reindeer that had docilely stayed. "Get out of here, Santa," I said. "Go fly off in your sleigh. If you've damaged the church roof, believe me, you'll pay." This is a historic building, by the way. And with parting disdain, do you know what he said? What that disco red huckster said flying off in his sled? That famed reindeer exploiter, that enslaver of elves, he said, "Hey, Rev, just get over yourself." Santa's parting words struck me. They caused me to pause. Surely there's room in the season for more than just causes. This season's not for consumers, Christians, pagans, or Jews. This season has something for everyone, and that's our good news.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyful strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo, in excelsis Deo. Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why these songs of happy cheer? What great brightness did you see? What glad tidings did you hear? Gloria in excelsis Deo, in excelsis Deo.
When I was a chaplain in Chicago, roughly 20 years ago now, in training for a ministry, I was on call all night, once a week. And I was faced with talking to this guy who had come in. It was probably 2 o'clock in the morning, and he had just killed his best friend in a car accident. He was drunk driving. His best friend was right next to him in the car. From the look of it, and from him, it was not his first reckless decision. It was an interesting night in the worst of ways that nights can be. In addition to being drunk, he was sort of falling in and out of sleep and in and out of awareness of what he'd done. So I had to counsel him 3 different times during the night because he would wake up and realize what had just happened. It was weird because I was desperately tired too. And in a funny way, I remember being jealous of him falling asleep because I couldn't. He'd fall asleep in moments, but then he was in pain because he was banged up from the car accident too, and he was under whatever level of drugs and alcohol, I don't know. But he was in so much pain, he would wake up, and having forgotten the moment, he would kind of encounter it again. I've never forgotten that difficult night. It's a story worthy of its own telling. However, as I was revisiting the story, what kind of struck me about it was that on a spiritual level, it happens to us all the time. It was the back and forth of his sort of awareness of the reality of things and then his drifting back to some soft spot. It's an odd metaphor, I suppose, for Christmas, I get. But even like Christmas, it comes to us for a moment, doesn't it? Right? We get Christmas for these little moments of time, the beautiful candles, you see a kid. Christmas sort of comes in these little poignant moments. And then we fall back to our ordinary selves. We get distracted by the list of duties, the the sparkle of materialism for the holidays. Poignant moments of truth and beauty are hard to hold. It's so very human to have a window into the mystery, the awe of things, the wonder of things, and then falling back to the predictability of it all. And that's the challenge of Christmas, I think, really. It's the challenge of accepting that you're not going to be able to live Christmas for this whole season, but it's worth fighting in a way to get those poignant moments, right? It doesn't mean that Christmas changes everything. This is sort of my theme at Christmas. Don't ask it to be everything. Let it be what it is. Let it be a little sparkle. Let Christmas be the testimony that life can be good too. Life can be bad too, as we know, offers horrible, unimaginable things if they were only so predictably in our lives and in the news. But Christmas is a chance to train our eyes on the good. It's a chance to be light and to see light a little more. Keep us a little bit more awake to the miracle of life, because no one in this room watching me would not argue that life has miracle and joy in it. To the faithful, we're doing this New Testament study, and we're kind of encountering our skepticism and the sort of wonder of the story of Jesus and the faithful Christian folks. And the key experience in the scriptures, it seems to me as we study it, is that it feels like where you come at it is the deepest truth, right? What you're holding about it is the deepest truth. And the thing about Christmas is that every word, every candle, every reading, every note that Severin strikes and beautiful little thing that Bob plays or Abraham sings is a chance to experiencing the joy of life. It's a huge responsibility to take on just getting a little of it. Take it on. If I could wish the Christmas gift to every person here, I would wish that you'd see and feel the reality of your own uniqueness. Really, your own goodness is what I want to say, but Bob's here and I'm not allowed to say the inherent goodness of people. In the Christian language, the connection of the metaphor of this truth is that you are God's child. Or if you'd rather, you are the life force of the universe that has created itself to know itself. Think about that. That might be exactly what we are here for. We are the universe's effort to understand itself, because nothing else is so reflective of the wonder. Maybe all the religious metaphors can be summed up by that ideal itself. Thomas Keating says, the acceptance of your basic goodness is a quantum leap in your spiritual journey. Of all the things we can accurately say, one of the things Christmas is an incarnation. It's the word we use to express that God is sort of with us, right? Jesus is supposed to be the incarnation, the logos, the reason of the universe imbued in right here on earth. I think you should think of yourself as a gift of goodness and wonder, a unique gift of the universe too. If you've looked around, you're a pretty rare thing. There might be humans everywhere, but there's nothing quite like us. Christmas, it might be said, is really the fanfare to get us to a few twinkly, blinkly moments of beauty. And too many experiences of sort of shiny fakeness and kind of dull gratitude can ruin you. What I'm preaching tonight really is a version of Orthodox biblical Christianity. Might not be the way you were taught it, though. But the idea that you are a child of God, a child of the planet of the universe, is a very special thing to understand that you are. And Christmas with the baby Jesus is the best time to grab that. Out of the darkness of the world, of the universe that is unfathomably cold, we're here. Remember that. The illumination of goodness within you is like a match lit in a black room, which was a metaphor I used last year. A gym teacher took a crowd into his gymnasium and one person lit a match and they were able to see each other's faces with that one light. Let the idea of all these lights that are going to get brighter as we darken the room and prepare for silent night, think about that as the universe. There's something fundamentally good about all of creation, or it wouldn't be. As Isaiah says, the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who lived in a land of deep darkness, on them a light has shined. Be one of those people. We have an offertory split plate tonight, which is an act of generosity on our part. We share with the Toberman Center, which does work in San Pedro for families and children, and we're going to split whatever we collect from you with them in the coming weeks.
But first, I'm going to sing "O Holy Night." O holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of the dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and all felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, all night divine, all night when Christ was born, all night divine, all night divine. Led by the light of faith serenely gleaming, with glowing hearts by his cradle we stand. So led by light, a star sweetly beaming, here came the wise man of the Orient land. The King of Kings lay thus in lowly manger, in all our trials, born to be a friend. He knows your need. He guardeth us from danger. Behold, your King, the lowly band. Behold, your King, our knees. I hear the angel voices on night divine, all night, when Christ was born. All night divine, all night divine.
Silent Night is headed our way. But Silent Night is our favorite hymn, and when we planned this service and we went back and forth about where it should fit, there were some folks, I think I was among them, who agreed that if we moved it from the end, people would be upset. It's a tradition. Silent Night is probably the favorite hymn. It was on Christmas Eve in 1818 when it was first performed as Still Knocked, Heel Knocked. Joseph Moore, the young priest who wrote the lyrics, played the guitar, which we'll hear it tonight on, and sung with Franz Xavier Gruber, the choir director who had written the melody. An organ builder and repairman working at the church took a copy of this 6-verse song to his home village. This is a true story. There it was picked up and spread by 2 families of traveling folk singers. They performed it around Northern Europe, and in 1834, the Strasser family performed it for the King of Prussia. In 1839, the Rainier family of singers debuted the carol outside the Trinity Church in New York City. It had come to America. The composition evolved and was translated into over 300 languages today, with many different arrangements. But it was found in the back of an organ. It was written. It's one of the most beautiful hymns we have, and we're going to sing a series of people and lights. And here we go.
Stille Nacht, heilige Nacht, alles schläft, einsam wacht, die Fliebe mit Paradies grün, wohl des Elbers Güter schön. Brilla estrella de paz, brilla la estrella de paz. Silent night, holy night, all is gone, all is white. Round yonder virgin and holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silence, silence, night. Sing hallelujah, Christ the Savior is born. Christ the Savior is born. Silent night, holy night, lost pure light, radiant gift of night's with our hearts redeeming grace. Jesus, Lord, thy birth. Jesus, Lord, thy